9 p.m. the 9th of July. You wake up as you usually do in your house with all your things, but today something is different. The silence has covered your noisy, bustling neighborhood. As you draw curtains and look out the window, a horrific reveal of a new reality becomes painfully clear. The following week is a haze as you try to puzzle together what has happened to one's familiar reality. Bit by bit, the story falls into place. Fragments of newspapers warning of a coming epidemic. Cars crashed in the streets. Rotting bodies of soldiers lying among the debris. The only thing that remains in the cities, the colossal monuments to our own hubris. Dead things and buildings endure, as does the unyielding horde made up by its former citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is KV and today I'm going to be talking about the game called Project Zomboid. Project Zomboid is a hardcore survival zombie game with only one objective: to survive. The game was developed by a small company called the Indie. They started out by making mods for other games, meaning they knew the importance of mods in order to make a game survive in the long run. They even encourage players in the community to mod and change things in the game they don't enjoy. The community of Project Zomboid is also very helpful, and if you need to know something about the game, you just go to Reddit and ask, and an answer will come within a couple of hours. Unlike most games in the zombie genre, Project Zomboid doesn't have any fancy superhuman developed zombies with magic powers and abilities. It's a battle between you and the world, and you're the one who will eventually lose. Due to the game being a sandbox game, meaning you can run around and explore however you like without having to follow a storyline, it's difficult to explain some aspects of the game without having exceptions between runs. Therefore, I will explain the game as if you play the preset survival settings. You start by creating a character by selecting different traits. The traits will affect the gameplay and how you will survive. In order to balance the character creation, the traits all have different costs depending on how beneficial the trait is deemed to be. If you want to start off with extra boosts and feats, it will cost you points, which you get by selecting negative traits. As mentioned, to get more positive traits to help you with your survival, you also need to take negative traits to give you additional points. For example, smoker, meaning you will have to find and smoke cigarettes, or you get anxious, sad, and then depressed, which will affect your gameplay. Another example of a trait is the pacifist trait, which makes you learn using weapons slower. You can spawn with more negative traits than positive, even though this will make your character worse in some cases, but that can even you out. You cannot spawn with more positive traits than negative. There are currently 4 different spawning locations: Muldraugh, West Point, Riverside, and Rosewood. Each one has their own advantages and disadvantages. Rosewood, for example, is located close to a big prison. Good for both surviving if you clear it, but it can also be a death trap if you fail to. The different cities are connected by roads, meaning you can either walk between them or drive if you manage to find a working vehicle. A cool fact is that the map is based on the real-life town of Muldraugh, with their close-by cities and locations. As previously mentioned at the start of the 9th of July, the pandemic swooped over the world within a week. As you play and the time progresses, the world around you changes as a result of the disease, such as bridges are led to an infected area blown up in an attempt to contain the virus, due to at this point the reason of spread is unknown. Approximately 9 days into the pandemic, reports of infection has been located in cities such as New Orleans, Los Angeles, Berlin, and Tokyo. And with that, the death of mankind has begun. When you start, the first thing you will need is some sort of self-defense weapon. It can be everything from a baseball bat to a kitchen knife. If you're extremely lucky, you can find an axe in the early stages of the game. If not, a fork could work. In the early parts of the game, trying to avoid zombies by sneaking around will be your best friend. Before you have a real weapon, as few as 3 undead are too many to handle. If you take that in comparison to the amount of zombies in a city, you're screwed. You'll probably want to start off by sneaking around and stealing from your neighbors first. But be aware they might not like you creeping around in the backyard and might try to invite you in for a snack. Literally. What you do next really do depends on your luck. You can do everything from running to the woods and never return and live there until you die because you run out of food and can't scavenge for more. Or try to stay in your house and fortify it and have scavenge runs into the cities. It doesn't matter for how long you play or survive, the feeling of loneliness is always present. The only contact with people who live in Concha without mods to multiplayer is houses with dead bodies of people having committed suicide. Barricaded homes of survivors, and gunshots from people's last stand, or people screaming in agony as they're being eaten alive. Of course the game has both pros and cons. It's cheap, it's only 14 euros, so that's not a lot of money and you can easily afford it, and it contains entertainment worth more than 14 euros. It's easy to learn but hard to master. It's a game where you can easily understand what to do and how, but the goal is impossible to reach and it will always almost die trying. The map is enormous. You can play with many people for months without seeing each other, not being aware of the other one's presence. It may seem like an obvious thing, but you can play with multiple people at the same time in the same world. It's a game dedicated to survival. It doesn't have a goal of killing a specific amount of zombies and then you win and there's a big flashy screen. You cannot win. You die. That's the end of the game. You just have to retry. The Indie Stone, or, well, the developers, allows you to mod and change things in the game. And the community likes to and, well, changes things in the game. If you don't like the damage of access, there's probably a mod for it. And if it's not a mod for it, you can just do your own mod. It doesn't have any paywalls for new things. The updates come and go, and you just mod it if you dislike it. And last but not least, the community. It's fantastic. If you wonder something about the game, if you don't know certain things, what certain things mean, you just go to Reddit and ask, people will see it and maybe someone will answer it. People want to help each other in the community, which is fantastic. Of course it has its cons as well. For example, updates take a long time to come out. It's obvious when you know there's only a handful of people working at the game, but it could still be annoying. If you're not used to games being sandboxed, it can be difficult to know your objective. You might just stand there sometimes and go, what the hell do I do now? And people can find that, well, not fun in the game if you don't know what to do, that some people need a storyline in the game. And if you do, this isn't really the game for you. Even though this was a pro, the size of the map could be bigger. And I know the city of Louisville will be added soon, but it could still be more. Project Zomboid is probably my favorite game. It does everything I want in a game. It's a sandbox game. It lets you be creative and build stuff. It lets you explore and it always keeps you on edge. It's a very peaceful game. You wander around, farm potatoes, you boil them, mash them, stick them in stews, grow your own tomatoes and make tomato soup. But then a gunshot can be heard in the distance, and a horde comes, and I either have to wait it out, or try to lead them away, or die trying. Maybe you're driving around the streets of Kentucky in the middle of the night, cruising around and enjoying it. You forget to turn and crash into a tree. You survive, but now your lights are broken and have to wait for the sun to rise. The game wants you to die, and it will do its best to do so. Overall, I'm really excited to see what Project Zomboid has to show in the future. It's a game I'm really passionate about, and, well, I really love it. But that's been it, and I want to thank you for watching this whole video. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.